The silent advance. The quantum sensors aboard the Halcyon defense platform blinked red for the third time that week. Commander Elena Santos watched the readings with growing unease, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic display's crimson warning signals. The Drachnid ships were probing deeper into human space with each passing cycle, testing boundaries, looking for weaknesses. Another routine patrol from our esteemed protectors. Colonel Chen Wei's hologram materialized beside her, his weathered face betraying a hint of knowing sarcasm. "Fourth Fleet this time," Elena replied, gesturing at the tactical overlay. "They're not even trying to hide their scan patterns anymore. They're looking for something specific." The irony wasn't lost on either of them. For 3 centuries, the Drachnid Imperium had positioned itself as humanity's benevolent protector, offering advanced technology and defense against the dangers of deep space. That protection had come with carefully crafted restrictions, regulatory oversight, and advisory councils that kept humanity's development firmly under Drachnid control. Or so they thought. Deep beneath Europa's icy surface, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Samira Patel stood before the masterstroke of human ingenuity, Project Phoenix. The massive hangar housed not warships or weapons, but something far more revolutionary: the first human-made quantum consciousness network. Final neural pathway calibration complete, her AI assistant Araya announced. The network is achieving synchronization rates beyond projected parameters. Samira allowed herself a small smile. While the Drachnids watched for weapon stockpiles and fleet movements, humanity had focused on something far more fundamental: the very nature of consciousness and reality itself. The quantum network would allow human ships and systems to operate as a single, unified entity, coordinating faster than any conventional command structure. "Begin Phase 3 integration," she ordered, "and notify Admiral Chen that we're ready for live testing." In high orbit above Mars, Admiral James Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, officially a simple patrol cruiser. Unofficially, it was humanity's first vessel equipped with the quantum consciousness interface. His crew worked with practiced efficiency, maintaining the illusion of routine operations, while the ship's true systems hummed to life deep within its restructured core. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "Drachnid vessel approaching. They're requesting permission to conduct a routine inspection under Article 7 of the Protection Treaty." James smiled. "Let them come. Let them scan every inch of the Prometheus with their advanced sensors. They wouldn't find anything their treaties prohibited, because humanity hadn't built better weapons or faster ships. They'd done something far more profound. They'd discovered how to transcend the very limitations the Drachnids had placed upon them." "Permission granted," he replied. "Extend them every courtesy." The Drachnid inspection team arrived with their usual air of superiority, their crystalline exoskeletons catching the light as they moved through the ship's corridors. Their sensor devices probed every compartment, every system, finding exactly what they expected: a modestly equipped human vessel operating well within acceptable technological parameters. They never noticed how the quantum fields of their own scanning devices were being analyzed, mapped, and understood by the ship's nascent consciousness. They couldn't detect how each scan helped perfect the camouflage that would hide humanity's true capabilities until the moment of revelation. In her office aboard the Halcyon platform, Commander Santos received the encrypted quantum burst from Europa. Project Phoenix was ready. Humanity's long game was approaching its culmination. Soon, the Drachnids would learn that their carefully maintained system of control had been built on a fundamental misconception. They thought they were containing a primitive species, keeping humanity safely restricted to approved technologies and developments. Instead, they had created the perfect environment for humanity to evolve in an entirely different direction. While the Drachnids watched for ships and weapons, humanity had transformed itself into something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. The real question wasn't whether humanity could match Drachnid military might. The question was whether the Drachnids could adapt when they discovered that the very nature of their opposition had changed. As Elena reviewed the final preparation reports, She couldn't help but feel a fierce pride. Humanity hadn't just found a way to break free of their chains. They transcended the very concept of what those chains could constrain. The game was about to change, and the Drachnids had no idea they weren't even playing the right sport. Breaking chains. The Drachnid Ascendancy's flagship, Eternal Dominion, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, its crystalline hull gleaming like an artificial star. Behind it came the largest fleet humanity had ever witnessed, over 300 ships arranged in the Drachnid's signature diamond formation. High Overseer Caxtel stood on his command deck, his exoskeleton pulsing with waves of authoritative blue light. "Send the message," he commanded, his crystalline voice resonating through the bridge. "Let us see how quickly these humans surrender when faced with overwhelming force." The transmission went out on all frequencies. "This is High Overseer Caxtel of the Drachnid Ascendancy. We have detected illegal technological research within your system. Submit to immediate occupation and technological audit, or face extinction. You have one planetary rotation to comply." In the depths of Europa Station, Dr. Samira Patel watched the transmission with an almost serene calm. "They still think in such linear terms," she mused to her AI assistant Araya. "How many ships are linked to the quantum network now?" 73 vessels are fully integrated, Doctor. The consciousness matrix is stable and operating at 99.8% efficiency." Samira nodded, touching the neural interface at her temple. Through it, she could feel the vast, distributed awareness they had created. Thousands of human minds linked through quantum entanglement, working in perfect harmony while maintaining their individual identities. It wasn't just a command and control system. It was the next step in human evolution. Admiral Chen's voice came through the quantum link, his thoughts crystalline clear despite being physically stationed at Mars. "They found us sooner than expected. Are we ready?" "The network is stable," Samara replied. "But we've never tested it under actual combat conditions. We're about to." Commander Santos' consciousness joined the link from the Halcyon platform. The Drachnid fleet is moving into attack position. Their energy signatures suggest they're charging weapons. Through the quantum network, every human ship captain could feel the situation with perfect clarity. There was no need for lengthy briefings or complex battle plans. The collective consciousness of humanity's defenders moved as one, each vessel knowing its role in what was to come. "Send our response," Admiral Chen commanded. Across every frequency, in perfect unison, humanity answered. "We reject your authority. We reject your protection. We are free." The Drachnid fleet opened fire, thousands of energy beams lancing out toward human positions. But the ships they targeted weren't there anymore. Moving with impossible coordination, the human fleet shifted and flowed like a school of fish, each vessel anticipating and responding to threats before they even materialized. "Impossible," Caxtel hissed as his tactical displays struggled to track the human movements. "No command structure can coordinate ships with that level of precision." The human counterattack began not with weapons, but with silence. Quantum fields emanating from seemingly empty space began disrupting Drachnid communications. Their carefully coordinated fleet formations began to break down as ships lost contact with each other. "Show them," Samara whispered into the quantum link, and humanity's secret weapon revealed itself. The UES Prometheus decloaked directly in front of the Eternal Dominion, but it was no longer just a ship. Its hull rippled with quantum energy fields that defied Drachnid sensors. When it opened fire, it didn't launch conventional weapons. It fired beams of concentrated consciousness, targeting the crystalline structures that made up Drachnid technology. The effect was devastating. The crystal-based computing systems that controlled Drachnid ships weren't just disrupted. They were overwhelmed by contact with a form of awareness they had never evolved to resist. Ship after ship went dark as their crystal cores encountered something that forced them to question their own nature of existence. "What are you doing to my fleet?" Caxtel demanded, his exoskeleton flashing patterns of fear for the first time in his long life. Admiral Chen's response came through clearly despite the communication blackout affecting Drachnid systems. "We're showing you what humanity has become while you were so focused on controlling what we could build. You restricted our weapons, our ships, our physical technology. So we transcended the physical altogether." The Drachnid flagship found itself surrounded by human vessels moving with impossible precision. Their hulls seemed to phase in and out of reality as the quantum network adjusted their fundamental relationship with space-time itself. "This is your only warning." Humanity's unified consciousness spoke through every human ship. "Leave our space. End your so-called protection. We have evolved beyond your ability to control, and we will no longer be bound by your limitations." As the Eternal Dominion retreated with its partially disabled fleet, the galaxy's balance of power shifted fundamentally. Humanity hadn't just broken free. They had demonstrated a path of advancement that the Drachnids had never imagined possible. The quantum network hummed with the collective satisfaction of humanity's defenders. They had done more than win a battle. They had proven that the future belonged to those who could imagine beyond the constraints of the present. Counter-strike. The Drachnid High Council chamber erupted in chaos as the battle footage played for the 100th time. The crystalline beings' exoskeletons flickered with patterns of fear and rage as they watched their mighty fleet retreat from Sol system. High Overseer Caxtel stood before them, his own crystals dulled with shame. "The humans have corrupted the natural order," First Speaker Vexmar declared, his crystalline form pulsing with angry red light. "Their quantum consciousness technology is an abomination. It must be destroyed before other protectorate species learn of this." In orbit around Titan, Dr. Samira Patel and Admiral Chen watched the Quantum Intercepted Council meeting through the network. Their consciousness, along with thousands of others, processed the information simultaneously through their shared neural link. "They're mobilizing their entire defensive fleet," Chen observed, his thoughts rippling through the quantum network. 7,000 ships gathering at their core worlds. Samira's consciousness resonated with grim satisfaction. "And abandoning their garrison fleets and protectorate systems, exactly as we predicted." The quantum network had evolved beyond their wildest expectations. What had started as a military command and control system had become a new form of shared existence. Every connected human could access the collective knowledge and experience of the whole while maintaining their individual identity. It made deception impossible among network members, but it also made decisions lightning fast. Through the network, Commander Santos' consciousness joined them from the newly commissioned UES Avalon. "The Centauri resistance groups are ready. They've been waiting centuries for the Drachnids to show weakness." "And the Proxima shipyards?" Chen asked. "Operating at full capacity. The quantum replication protocols are functioning perfectly. We can now produce a fully networked vessel in under 48 hours." The pieces were falling into place, while the Drachnids gathered their forces for what they thought would be a decisive strike against Earth. Humanity's real strategy was unfolding across dozens of systems simultaneously. In the Arcturus system, the first blow fell. A small fleet of human ships emerged from quantum space directly inside the Drachnid orbital defense network. But these weren't ordinary vessels. They were quantum-manifested ships, created through humanity's mastery of consciousness-driven matter manipulation. The Drachnid defenders didn't even have time to raise their shields. The human ships pulsed with quantum energy, their consciousness-based weapons overwhelming the crystalline computing systems. Within minutes, the entire defensive grid went dark. From the surface of Arcturus II, the native Solarians watched in awe as their Drachnid overlords' mighty fortresses crumbled. The crystalline structures that had dominated their skyline for generations collapsed as the quantum fields disrupted their molecular cohesion. The Drachnids called themselves our protectors. The Solarian High Chancellor transmitted to the human fleet. "In truth, they were our jailers. How can we assist in their removal?" Similar scenes played out across a dozen systems. Species that had been protected by the Drachnids for millennia suddenly found their oppressors' technology failing, their mighty ships reduced to drifting crystal shells, by weapons that attacked consciousness itself. In the quantum network, humanity's collective mind processed the reports from all fronts simultaneously. They felt the joy of liberated species, the satisfaction of perfectly executed attacks, and the growing realization that they had fundamentally changed the nature of warfare itself. The Drachnids are beginning to understand. Samira observed through the network. Look at their fleet movements. They're starting to panic. She was right. The mighty armada that had been gathering to attack Earth was now breaking apart, desperately trying to respond to multiple crises across their empire. But their crystal-based faster-than-light communications were painfully slow compared to humanity's quantum network. By the time orders reached their ships, the tactical situation had already changed. Send the next phase signal, Admiral Chen commanded through the network. Across human space, quantum forges began producing not just ships, but a new kind of weapon. Consciousness catalysts designed to awaken the dormant potential in other species. We're not just fighting to free ourselves. Chen's thoughts resonated through the quantum link. We're fighting to free every species that's been protected into stagnation. The Drachnids didn't just hold back our technological development. They suppressed the natural evolution of consciousness itself. The quantum network hummed with collective purpose. Humanity had moved beyond simply breaking their own chains. They had become the key to unlocking the suppressed potential of all sentient life in the galaxy. As the Drachnid Empire began to crumble, a new order was taking shape, one based not on control and suppression, but on the infinite possibilities of awakened consciousness. The hidden card. Deep within the crystalline archives of the Drachnid capital world, First Speaker Vexmar accessed restricted records that hadn't been opened in millennia. His exoskeleton pulsed with patterns of increasing distress as ancient data streamed into his consciousness. The humans hadn't just developed quantum consciousness technology. They had rediscovered it. In the quantum network, Dr. Samira Patel felt a surge of satisfaction as their deep-cover quantum probes detected Vexmar's activity. He's found the ancient records, she transmitted to the network. Now he knows. The truth that the Drachnids had buried for so long was finally emerging. Their empire hadn't been built on protecting younger species. It had been built on suppressing them before they could follow the path of the predecessors, an ancient race that had transcended physical existence through quantum consciousness evolution. Admiral Chen's consciousness rippled with cold amusement through the network. How long until the other council members access those records? They already are. Commander Santos reported, her consciousness monitoring multiple quantum feeds simultaneously. The encryption protocols we inserted into their networks last month are working perfectly. Every council member is being systematically exposed to the truth their ancestors buried. The quantum network hummed with shared memory as humanity's collective consciousness recalled their own discovery. 20 years ago, in the ruins of an ancient outpost on Mars, human archaeologists had found something extraordinary. Not weapons or technology, but a quantum consciousness imprint left behind by the predecessors. While the Drachnids had been watching for conventional technological advancement, humanity had spent 2 decades secretly communing with these quantum echoes, learning the true history of the galaxy. The predecessors hadn't died out or disappeared. They had evolved beyond physical form, leaving behind quantum consciousness seeds on thousands of worlds. Seeds that the Drachnids had systematically suppressed for millennia, preventing any species from following the predecessor's path to transcendence. In the Drachnid High Council chamber, the revelation was causing chaos. We are the true inheritors of the galaxy. Caxtal rage, his crystalline form blazing with furious light. Our ancestors chose to maintain physical form, to remain in this realm of existence. They were right to prevent other species from accessing the quantum consciousness path. Were they? Vexmar challenged, his own crystals pulsing with uncertainty. Or were they simply afraid of change? Look at what the humans have achieved in mere decades once they found the truth. Our empire is crumbling not because of superior weapons or tactics, but because they've embraced an evolution we feared. Through the quantum network, Humanity watched the Drachnid Empire tear itself apart from within. Some council members called for immediate genocide of all protectorate species. Others demanded acceptance of the new reality. A few even began to question their species' millennia-old choice to reject quantum consciousness evolution. Dr. Patel's consciousness touched the quantum imprint they'd discovered on Mars, communicating with the ancient awareness that had guided humanity's development. "We're ready for the final phase," she transmitted through the network. Across the galaxy, on every world where the Drachnids had buried predecessor quantum seeds, human ships appeared. Their quantum consciousness weapons weren't designed to destroy. They were designed to awaken. One by one, suppressed species began to recognize the potential within themselves. The Solarians discovered they could communicate through quantum light waves. The methane-breathing Centaurians found they could link minds across vast distances. Each species' quantum awakening was unique, shaped by their own evolutionary path. This was never about defeating the Drachnids. Admiral Chen's thoughts resonated through the network. It was about finishing what the predecessors started. They didn't leave those quantum seeds as weapons or tools. They left them as invitations to join them in the next stage of evolution. In orbit around Earth, the UES Prometheus's quantum consciousness core pulsed with unprecedented energy as it prepared to broadcast the final message, not just to the Drachnids, but to every species in the galaxy. The message the predecessors had left for humanity to deliver once they had awakened enough quantum seeds to achieve critical consciousness mass. The Drachnid Empire had maintained its power through suppression and control. Humanity's revolution would succeed through awakening and liberation. The galaxy was about to change in ways that no physical empire could prevent. Paradigm shift. The galaxy held its breath as the UES Prometheus prepared to broadcast the predecessor's message. In the quantum network, billions of newly awakened consciousnesses waited, their collective awareness creating patterns of anticipation that rippled through space-time itself. Dr. Samira Patel stood in the ship's quantum core chamber, her physical form almost transparent as her consciousness merged deeper with the network than ever before. "The quantum seeds are all active," she reported, her voice echoing both audibly and through the collective consciousness. "Every species the Drachnids suppressed is now connected." Admiral Chen's consciousness touched hers through the network. "The Drachnid fleet is approaching. They're making one final attempt to stop the broadcast." 10,000 Drachnid warships, their crystalline hulls blazing with desperate energy, emerged from hyperspace around Earth. But they weren't facing the human defense fleet. They were facing something far more profound. A unified consciousness of dozens of species, each bringing their unique perspective to the quantum network. The Solarians contributed their mastery of light manipulation. The Centaurians added their understanding of quantum probability fields. The crystalline Arcturians, ironically similar to the Drachnids in form, but not philosophy, brought their knowledge of matter-energy conversion. Each species' quantum awakening had manifested differently, and now they all worked in perfect harmony. High Overseer Caxtel's voice boomed across all frequencies. "This ends now. We will not allow." His transmission cut off as the Prometheus initiated the broadcast. But it wasn't just a message being transmitted. It was an awakening cascade, the final key the predecessors had left behind. The quantum network suddenly expanded beyond anything even humanity had imagined. Through the network, every connected consciousness experienced the truth simultaneously. The predecessors hadn't just transcended physical form. They had discovered that consciousness itself was the fundamental force of the universe. Physical reality was just one expression of consciousness, one stage in an infinite evolution. Even the Drachnid fleet felt it. Their crystalline computing systems, designed to suppress quantum consciousness, couldn't block the awakening cascade. One by one, Drachnid crews experienced what their ancestors had feared and rejected: the touch of true universal consciousness. "We were wrong." First speaker Vexmar's thoughts echoed through the network as his ship's crystals began to pulse with new awareness. "For millennia, we thought we were protecting the galaxy from chaos," Instead, we were preventing its natural evolution. The scene unfolding around Earth defied conventional description. Ships from dozens of species, their forms shifting between physical and quantum states as their crews explored their new awareness. The Drachnid fleet, their crystalline hulls now resonating with the same quantum frequencies they had been designed to suppress her. Patel's consciousness expanded through the network, touching the ancient quantum imprint that had guided humanity. This was your plan all along, wasn't it? You needed a species that could rediscover quantum consciousness naturally without being given the knowledge directly. You needed us to prove it was possible. The predecessor's quantum echo resonated with confirmation. They had seeded the galaxy with the potential for quantum consciousness evolution, but each species needed to find its own path to awakening. The Drachnid's fear and suppression had actually served a purpose, creating conditions where humanity could develop in secret, uninfluenced by other species' quantum awakening. Admiral Chen's consciousness touched the transformed Drachnid ships. Your empire was built on control, on forcing the galaxy to remain static. But consciousness, life itself, is meant to evolve. Change isn't something to be feared. It's the only constant in the universe. The quantum network pulsed with united purpose as species after species began to explore their new potential. Some, like humanity, maintained their physical forms while expanding their consciousness. Others began to transition toward pure energy states. Each found their own balance, their own expression of evolution. Commander Santos monitored the quantum fields as they stabilized into new patterns. The network is self-sustaining now. Every awakened consciousness adds to its complexity, its potential. In the Drachnid High Council chamber, the ancient records played one final time. But now they were understood differently. Their ancestors hadn't rejected evolution out of wisdom, but out of fear. In trying to prevent change, they had only delayed the inevitable. The galaxy was transforming, not through war or conquest, but through awakening. Humanity had done more than break free from their supposed protectors. They had helped the galaxy remember its true nature. Physical form, energy, consciousness itself, all were expressions of the same fundamental truth. As the quantum network stabilized into its new configuration, Dr. Patel sent one final thought through the collective consciousness. We're not ending something here. We're beginning something. The predecessors didn't leave us a destination. They left us a starting point. The real journey begins now. The stars themselves seemed to pulse in agreement as the galaxy embraced its new reality. The age of empires and physical constraints was over. The age of infinite consciousness had begun.